What's up guys, Mahalo here from Giant's Foot Surf Tours. Welcome to our one of many webisode series. We're going to take you from start to finish on how to improve your surfing. This week we're doing board choice. Check it out. I want to choose a board that's, dude, can you help me, man? It's too hot right now, man. I'm sweating all over the place. I'm kind of sitting here. Alright. So when you're choosing a board, you want to think of three things. You want to think of your ability, which is like how strong of a paddler you are, how well you can read the ocean, where you can position yourself on a wave when catching the wave. You also want to think about your weight, how big of a dude or girl are you, what do you need to get the wave, you need some float, and you also want to think of your preferences, your overall preference. Like some people like longboarding, some people riding fun boards, some people like riding little short boards. So we're going to start off on the one side of the spectrum with the longer boards. Behind me here, I have two of the longer boards we have here at GFS. This first one's a 7.9 Big. This is a great board if you're a beginner surfer, you want to learn how to surf. It's got enough volume in it so where you can really get into the waves easily, and it's not too clunky so where it's just ripping all over the place when you're paddling out. This one right here is what I like to take out front when it's just when I just want to mess around and have some fun. Again, it's a 7.9 Big. It's just really nice for paddling. I'd say it's more of a mini tanker than a longboard. A longboard's, a little bit bigger. You can walk to the nose and do all of that. This is just a nice board if you want to get some waves, and it's just you don't have to worry about struggling to get anything. Again, good for like a beginner, or if you're like a bigger guy or gal and you want to get in the waves easier. Same thing with the NSP. It's got a little bit more of a narrow tail. What that does, it just makes it a little easier to turn. While we're on that note, the pros and cons of having a longer board. The pros, like I went through earlier, you can get in the waves easier. It doesn't take a lot of power to get in the waves. It's got a lot of float. Cons, if you want to call it a con, it's not as maneuverable as a shortboard. It's a little more fluid turning. It's not so quick. But with that, I think that's really good if you're starting, because if you learn the fundamentals of turning on a longboard, then you take that to a shortboard, it'll do you some good. Another con is when you're paddling out through a surf, you can't just go under the water. With a shortboard, you can duck dive. With a longboard, you gotta turn turtle. So those are the pros and cons of a longboard, but again, good for beginners, good for just having a great time. Let's move on to the shorter boards. Alright, so moving on from the longboards to the shorter boards. Behind me, I have a couple of my favorite boards I like to ride up here. These two I brought down from Hawaii to here when I moved down here. Things with shortboards, the pros and cons. The pros are you can duck dive, which makes a big difference when you're trying to get out of surf, big surf. You can just go right under the waves. With the longboards, you have to turn to it a lot of times. It just doesn't work out. It gets ripped out of your hands and all that. I'd say if you're going to go for a shortboard, make sure you have at least, you're comfortable paddling in the waves with longboards, you're comfortable in the water getting out. You can make it down the line and you can catch waves no problem, because once you step on a shortboard, the con is there's not a lot of float, so you have to be a lot of paddle strength and know where to position yourself into the wave. I'd say this is a good board to start to transition from a longer board into a shorter board. It's got a lot of volume in this. This is about a 5'8", 19 wide. And this just has a lot of volume in the chest, so it floats really well. So if you're transitioning from a longboard, this will paddle really nice that you can get into most all of your waves. And once you're up, the pro about having a shortboard is it's very maneuverable. So this thing will ride like a skateboard, and that's what you see, that's how you do your cutbacks and your aerials and all that is on a shorter board. This right here is what I like to ride. Just a standard thruster shape, fun board. Riding this anywhere between head high to right under double overhead does really well. Again, really maneuverable, rides like a skateboard, but super light. So make sure you have the competence in the water with the longboard and you can transition it, because if you're not competent, you'll try and get in the waves and you just get pushed out the back and you won't be able to stand up and you're just gonna have a bad time. So I'd say definitely have your longboarding down. When it gets a little bit bigger and you're competent with shortboarding and littler surf, I'd say you'd want a step-up board. Right here is my step-up. Step-up as in like stepping up into bigger surf. So this board right here is a 6'3" and it's 19 wide. For me, it works really well on anything over double overhead because with those bigger waves, they're just traveling so much faster and you need to match that speed, so you need a board that you can paddle really well. This board I have set up as a quad fin, and I just like to set up as a quad, just like you get into those bigger waves, just drawing your line just gets a lot of speed and it just holds really well for me. Like I said, this board's kind of like the best of both worlds. It paddles really well, but once it's up, I can get on the tail, do some hacks, and it rides super nicely for me. So that's pretty much the progression how it should go. Start off on the longboard, work your way down. Once you're competent in the water with the longboards, paddling, positioning, you should try to do some shortboarding. But overall, you should ride everything all the time, and that'll really help just well round your surfing. Make sure to give us some feedback, or if you have some questions, leave us a comment underneath. We'll be sure to make a video for you or answer them right away. I'm Mahal. This is at GFS Surf Camp in Nicaragua, and check us out next time.